From king hitting an unsuspecting player to illegally holding another player's arm behind his back in a tackle, these are the longest player suspensions in AFL history. In a 2012 game between North Melbourne and Carlton, something controversial happened involving Chris Judd. North's Lee Adams got tackled to the ground, and Judd did what's called a chicken wing tackle by grabbing Adams' right arm and twisting it behind his back, a completely illegal move. This got Adams' teammates extremely angry, leading to a scuffle and Judd getting a free kick. Moments later, Adams had to leave the game to head to the locker room holding his shoulder because Judd had dislocated it. Carlton could have argued that Judd was just trying to prevent Adams from getting a handball out, but they didn't. Judd pleaded guilty and got a 3-week suspension for the dangerous tackle. During a 2014 clash between Richmond and West Coast, things got intense on the wing. Dean Cox and Ty Vickery were battling it out for the hit out during a boundary throw-in. In the heat of the moment, Vickery carelessly swung his right hand into Cox's face, knocking him out for about 30 seconds. But here's the twist. Just before that, Cox had elbowed Vickery in the stomach, causing him visible pain. It seemed like Vickery was just retaliating. Nevertheless, Vickery got reported for striking immediately, and it was labelled as intentional. The tribunal handed him a 4-match suspension. This meant he'd be out until the final round of the season, but could still play in Richmond's later finals campaign. Some thought the suspension was harsh, but Vickery's previous bad track record might have played a role in that decision. In the 2005 pre-season showdown between Adelaide and Port, things got intense when Byron Pickett laid out James Begley with a massive high bump while competing for the ground ball, prompting an immediate report from the umpire. Having won the 2004 Norm Smith medal 1 year earlier, Pickett's rough move dealt a huge blow to Port's chances of making the 2005 finals. However, they were able to barely scrape in at 8th spot on the ladder. This wasn't Pickett's first questionable hit, and as it turned out, it wouldn't be his last, as he carried out another risky bump against Adelaide later in the season. Luckily, Begley bounced back relatively unscathed, making a comeback for the Crows' round 1 match against West Coast. Pickett was met with a 6-game suspension for his actions, a harsh but fair penalty considering his not-so-clean track record. In the 2015 Dreamtime at the G match between Essendon and Richmond, Courtney Dempsey shocked everyone by picking up Brett Delidio and aggressively slinging him into the ground, which could have seriously hurt him and ended his season. Delidio was knocked out cold and needed a medic, while Dempsey was confronted by angry Richmond players. Luckily, Delidio was okay, except for a sore neck and a slight headache, and he didn't miss any games, playing in Richmond's upcoming final series. However, Dempsey was the one who ended up in trouble. After pleading guilty to rough conduct with severe impact, he was handed a 4-match ban, missing Essendon's last game of the season against Collingwood. This suspension was important because it made the league take a tougher stance on dangerous tackles in an attempt to stop them from happening so regularly. During the 2018 Western Derby between West Coast and Fremantle, Andrew Gaff did something that would change his career forever. While tussling with Andrew Brayshaw on the wing, Gaff aimed a punch at Brayshaw's chest. Brayshaw lowered himself at the same time, causing Gaff's punch to strike Brayshaw in the face. Instantly, Brayshaw clutched his face, rushing to the bench with Fremantle runners while holding his mouthguard. It turned out that Gaff had broken Brayshaw's jaw, requiring the removal of 3 teeth and Brayshaw avoiding solid foods for an entire month. It took just 14 minutes for the tribunal to decide on Gaff's punishment, slapping him with an 8-game suspension, the equal longest of the century. This meant Gaff missed West Coast 2018 final series, where they ultimately became premiership heroes. His punishment cost him something much more valuable than 8 weeks of footy, a premiership medal. In a 2016 match against Gold Coast, Brisbane's Stephen Martin was chasing a dribbling footy against Gary Ablett. After Martin tapped the ball forward in front of himself, Ablett gave him a push. This caused Martin to collide with Stephen May in a brutal shoulder bump, knocking him out cold. Ablett faced no suspension, but May faced serious consequences. The AFL's match review panel discussed May's actions, concerned about the potential for a serious injury to Martin's spine. May's past suspensions made his situation even worse, leading to a call for a suspension longer than the standard 3 matches. Many in the AFL community pushed for a 6-game ban for May. Despite May's legal team fighting for a 4-game ban, he ended up with a 5-game suspension for his bump during the Q-Clash Derby. Initially feared to have suffered a significant injury, Martin made a quick recovery, returning to play for Brisbane the following week. In a 2010 game against Geelong, St Kilda's Stephen Baker was hit with a record 12-match suspension, the longest in AFL history at the time. This was because he committed 4 separate offences against Geelong star forward Steve Johnson, including going after Johnson's already broken hand from earlier in the game. Johnson also got a 4-game suspension because he elbowed Baker in the face, causing him to leave the field with a badly hurt eye. Johnson pleaded guilty to the tribunal, a smart decision especially considering how badly swollen Baker's eye was. Baker didn't want to miss the grand final if his team made it, and so he fought against the 12-game suspension. Luckily for him and the Saints, the tribunal reduced it to 9 games. This all happened in round 13, and Baker didn't play again until the 2 grand finals against Collingwood, where he struggled to play well, likely because he'd been out of the game for a while. In a 2017 clash between Melbourne and Sydney, Thomas Bugg did something that effectively ended his career. Just 4 minutes into the game, after Callum Mills nudged him, Bugg retaliated by striking Mills clean in the face. This knocked Mills out, sending him to the ground and leaving him dazed. Sydney players got really upset, especially Tom Papley, who even tore Bugg's jumper. Bugg said sorry to Mills over the phone later, but it was too late. Mills had to leave the game because of a concussion, but was okay to play the following week. Still, Bugg got a 6-week suspension. He looks set to return in round 22 and help Melbourne in their fight for a top 8 spot, but that never happened. Bugg didn't get to play again until 2018, and after just 3 games, he was dropped from the team. At the end of the season, he was delisted. Bugg retired from playing AFL soon after that. Which of these AFL suspensions do you think was the worst? Let me know in the comments down below, and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this one.